Killing requires payment. How about killing a country? And the answer is, it takes about one lunch. And don't go to jail at noon on April 9, 1975. 5,000 heavily armed Indian soldiers, wearing a submachine gun, surrounded the gold-sucking palace, like a tide, and they did that in less than 20 minutes. The palace guard was relieved armed with just over 200 people piled in. The last king of Sikkim, the man who once dreamed of transforming the country into an Oriental Ray monarch of the scholars right on my balcony watching the representative the red and white flag of sovereignty, has been torn down. In its place was India's tricolor flag. That moment. An independent kingdom with a history of over 300 years officially tickled death. In a physical sense, this is a story about guilt, also the one who hired the wolf into the bedroom as a bodyguard. Absurd tragedy. Welcome back to the world of reorganization. 80 years of national prosperity after World War II. I am the leader, Yang Guo. The first act of desperation, the knife in the neck. We're going to talk about the West. You have to look at India first. If you spread out the map, you have this giant India. In fact, it has a particularly funny neck. Shili Valley Corridor. The narrowest point of this place is only 22 kilometers. A tank is fully refueled. You can run back and forth in half an hour. This 22 kilometers is the lifeblood of India. It connects to mainland India and the 7 northeastern states. And where is Xi? He is like a sharp knife hanging directly above this neck to the north that was just made in 1962. New Delhi's nightmare east. Great power. China to the south is this chicken neck that breaks when pinched. For the Iron Lady of India at that time. For Diligandi, every time he looks at the map, what he sensed was not a neighbor's greeting. It's a chill down the spine. On the Indian chessboard, Xi is not a country. He is a trench that must be filled. That's why I say it's not just history. This is the bureau. One is generated from the moment of geography. It's doomed to be an unsolvable dead end. Act 2. Die. When an American socialite sits on a Himalayan throne in 1963. A wedding took the world by storm. The groom is Crown Prince Higan Denton Duff Namgar. The bride is a New York socialite Hapu Cook. This year, this is the Himalayan version of Cinderella, placed on the cover of countless Western magazines. But in the eyes of New Delhi, this is not a love story. This is a ghost story. An American woman became the queen of a strategist. Indian intelligence is instantaneously close to the mind. Masterpiece. CIA American Love Bureau. Is it a bug? It's in our backyard. This couple is also really brave. Hapu Cook, not the kind of ace that only drinks afternoon tea. He makes use of his Western background. They're going crazy for cultural export. He writes books. He gives interviews. He even hinted at the Darjeeling area historically belonged to Xi. And what about King Pal Din? He started de-Indianization. He demanded that the Unequal Information Treaty be amended. He wants to attract money to join the United Nations. He wants to raise his flag. Singing your national anthem sounds inspiring, doesn't it? But in the dark forest of international politics, anger without power is meaningless. Heart is higher than the sky. Life is thinner than paper. This couple, they think they are using the U.S. as a counterweight to India. In fact, they are hastening their own demise. The more they struggle, the tighter the rope around the neck is the Indian. Watch this jumping couple. There is only one thought in my heart. I can't wait any longer. This piece of meat must be swallowed immediately. The third wooden Trojan horse created a riot. Want to destroy a country. Sending troops directly is the last resort. What's the best policy? Let him rot. What is this called? It's called a fortress. Easiest to break through from the inside. King Pal Din has a dead-end population. This is also the deepest mine buried by the Indians, the original natives, in Xi, the ethnic groups to which the Ribkas and the king belong. Bodians, that's only 25% of the population. Who are the remaining 75%? Is India. Over the past few decades, Nepalese immigrants who came in intentionally or unintentionally. 75% of the population is Hindu. Speak Nepali. At the bottom of society, just give a little spark. They are the best dynamite barrels at this time. Here comes the center of the ages, Kacharunda Dorgi. He is the leader of the Xi National Congress Party. It is also the most obedient puppet in the hands of India. The play began in 1973. Dorgi, take cover. We want democracy. We want one person, one vote. How righteous does that sound? But in Xi, one person, one vote means Nepalese immigrants make up 75% of the population. The king can be legally thrown out of office. 60,000 demonstrators surrounded the palace, and the king panicked at this time. He made the dumbest decision of his life. Ask India to send troops to maintain order. What is this called? The old Chinese saying goes, Lure the wolf into the house. The Indian army came with a smile, and they never left. The king thought a fire brigade had been called, and little did they know that these people were not holding water guns. It is the fourth wooden line of gasoline. 30 minutes on a rainy night came on April 9, 1975, the days of the poor bottom line. In the 2 years before that, the king has been completely removed, become a prisoner living in his own palace, but he's still writing letters. Write to the United Nations, write to an American friend, even tried to send a telegram to Beijing. Indians have lost their last patience. 12:45 noon, given order a regiment of the 17th Mountain City in India, like a black tide to the palace. How many? 243 guards did 5,000 face? It was a completely asymmetrical slaughter. The loudspeakers of the Indian army are shouting surrender, and do not kill. The Maharaja did not attempt to fight back, but in front of heavy machine guns resistance seemed so pale. After a burst of gunfire, the world is quiet. The casualty figures are even more ironic. There are no 2 casualties. 1 Indian soldier was wounded. 30 minutes, only 30 minutes, the flag of Xijing was torn down, thrown in the mud, trampled by millions. King Namgar. He was imprisoned in his bedroom. He listened to the cheers of the Indian army outside the window, looking at Zhangjiafeng, a dry city surrounded by clouds and fog in the distance. That moment, he may have remembered an ancient Chinese poem, falling water and flowers go away in spring, heaven and earth are gone, home is gone. As the king of a country, he even fought a battle. The ghost bears in the dead battlefield have no chance. You can only do one humiliation. Living kingdom slave. Fifth tomb farce. 97.55% refer to a deer as a horse. Kill people and wash the ground. In modern civilized society, it's not annexation. Have to call a merger. Therefore, a bizarre scene in human history staged a referendum 5 days after the Maharaja was occupied. India held a so-called referendum. The question is whether you agree to abolish the monarchy incorporated into India. This is the modern version of a deer as a horse. The voting scene is full of Indian soldiers with guns. The common people don't know a single big character. They only know if they don't vote. Yes, it may disappear tomorrow. Here it is. 59,637 votes in favor, 1,496 votes against. The approval rate is as high as 97.55%. Brothers, in any normal society, even tofu jelly is sweet or salty. It is impossible to reach a 97% consensus. This number is not public opinion. It directly transfers the IQ of the world. Rub on the ground. But the world admitted it. May 16, 1975, Xijing officially became the 22nd state of India, the name that has been around for 300 years. It's been erased from the country column of the world map. Act 6, Cold Eyes. Lonely resistance. Discuss with the silent world when attracting money while studying abroad. What is the world doing? This is the most chilling part. How about Americans? What about the American Queen's maiden family? They chose silence to win India over against the Soviet Union, or the meat in Xijing is too small. Not enough between my teeth. The Americans turned their heads. Why not cook? Flee back to New York with his children? Took Wang's jewelry, left behind the lonely king of the Soviet Union. As an ally of India, a congratulatory message from the Kremlin. Congratulations to India for crushing feudalism in this world. Only one country issued the strongest roar, that's China. April 29, 1975, the Chinese government issued a statement: never recognize India's illegal annexation of Xijing. It's not just because of geopolitical lip service, it's because we know too well the kind of artificial knife resistance. I'm in pain for the fish. We have emerged from a history of humiliation. We cannot tolerate this kind of bullying structure, but weak countries have no diplomacy at that time. China's voice was not loud enough. Abolished. King Namgar spent several years under house arrest, finally exiled to the United States. He died of cancer in 1982. Before he died, he still refused to sign any legal document advocating the throne. He said, my body could die in a foreign land, but my soul will always belong to Xijing. And what about the traitor Dalji? He became the chief minister. But in old age, he just realized that he had been deceived. India did not bring prosperity to Xijing. Instead, it brings the secrets of heavy taxes and culture. The wind on La Pass is still blowing. He is reminding everyone who passes by, national luck is never a gift from God. It's a struggle of iron and blood. First, the American Queen of Hollywood. Is it Cinderella? Or the CIA in the Himalayas? The second, poison. Why didn't we come to the rescue in 1975? Is the third gold-sucking royal family really dead? The public version only talks about history. Member version, we talk about accidents. Welcome to join the membership. Look beyond the official history. This is the story of sucking money, a story about disappearance. How did you feel after listening to it? It's anger. It's helplessness. Still lucky we were born into a country that can take its destiny into its own hands. 1979, the last white paradise on the African continent collapsed. A once wealthy man. It's called the breadbasket of Africa. How in just a few decades into the largest money printing machine in human history, the next episode of Death of Rhodesia.